Hey everybody, thank you for joining us on another debate recap edition of Primo NUTMEG. Joining me today, the most dangerous podcasters in the world, the Legends of Seatown. I have two original Primo NUTMEG guests here, Jack and Patrick. Hey guys.
Hello.
Hi.
And joining us to debate the debate, the great debate, Meredith. Hey Meredith.
Hello.
Thanks for being here. You know, we've done a few of these different debate recaps, and we haven't had a female perspective. And I thought on this one specifically, it was important to. So really do appreciate you being here, as well as you guys. It's always fun. But Meredith, on that note, going into this debate, the big news over the weekend was the video that emerged from 2005 of the comments that Donald Trump made. So, you know, I'm not asking you to speak for all women, but as an individual who happens to be a woman, could you speak a little bit about what you think about that video? I mean, did you find it really offensive? Were you grossed out? What was your impressions when you first heard it?
I wasn't very surprised. It didn't strike me as something that he wouldn't have said anyway. It didn't really make much of a difference to me.
So you just kind of expected that you already had expected that he said these kinds of things?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you think it changed the dynamics of the race at all, at least for you? Did it make you any more against Trump, or?
I don't think that's possible.
Okay. Well, let's get into the debate itself. I thought that this debate overall was a lot more interesting, dynamic, lively, I guess, than the first one.
Yeah, it was action-packed. Thrills and chills and excitement for all ages.
The first one I really kind of felt drained by over time, but this one, it seemed like there was a lot of excitement, and I think probably a big part of that was the video. I think that a lot of people might have tuned in just to see what the sparring would be over that video.
Well, and plus everyone abandoned Trump because of the video, like the Republican establishment and stuff. So he's like, all right, fuck it. I'm just going to go back to what I was doing in the beginning of the primary, and it seemed to work out for him, I guess.
So let's get into the debate questions. The first question was they had an audience member ask, and it was asking if, because the lady said the first debate should have been rated TVMA, and if they thought that they reflected appropriate behavior. Hillary said that she thought she did reflect appropriate behavior, and then started going into how her campaign was bringing people together, and America is great because we're good. That was a line that she used, and then repeated that later on. Trump's response was that this is a great country, and this is a great land, which is kind of funny because his whole motto is "Make America Great Again." So if it is great,
well, it could be even more terrific and huge and fantastic than it currently is.
But then he brought up the bad deals, the Obamacare. That's the reason that he ran. Talking about the Iran deal, trade deals, talking about police getting shot, and he wanted to fix the inner cities for African Americans and Latinos. He was also, I noticed, pretty immediately into this, he was sniffing again. Did you guys pick up on that?
Yeah, I think that's just how he talks. Because when the microphone's that close to his face, because when he was like, he'd say a string of words and then like take a big whiff in, and that's just like he's just like getting ready to just blow out some more, hot air or whatever.
He could be a cokehead though, like Howard Dean said.
And Carrie Fisher.
Carrie Fisher said that too.
Yeah. She was like, it's definitely cocaine. I recognize it.
He was holding the microphone very
unusually.
Close. And like he was
when he was ready to do a comeback, especially like his elbow would rest against his chest, and then it's like James Quall from Tim and Eric. It's kind of how he was holding it.
Yeah, like his mannerisms throughout the whole debate were a little odd.
Do you think he might have been on cocaine or drugs?
No. He just
Wait, do you mean this debate or the previous one?
No, this one, especially the way he stalked around the stage and
was hovering over Hillary,
leaned over the chair. Did you notice that? How he'd rest on the chair?
I did notice that. Actually, when they didn't shake hands, And she stood in front of the chair, and then he like went back and like was holding onto the back of it. I don't know. It just seemed like an odd way to start the debate.
Just wants to contrast their chair position.
Well, and I think it had to do with the stamina thing too. You know, you could stand the whole time or pace around the whole time. But I noticed that too at the very beginning of the debate. I'm like, is he going to even sit down rather? Because like, you know, you figure in a negotiation kind of situation, if you're like looming over somebody, you're supposed to like intimidate them or whatever, you know. So, like, is that part of his deal artsmanship? Or?
Well, like, when she was, like, attacking him, he'd just, like, wander around the stage, like...
Yeah, taking, like, big steps.
Like, it looked like he was, like, all pensive and just, like, thinking...
Maybe he wasn't even aware of the fact that he had the option to sit back down and was just sort of wandering around aimlessly.
Yeah, because at first he ended up sitting down, but as soon as, like, Hillary started... I think riling him up, like he just stood right back up immediately and like did not sit down the rest of the time, just pacing around, making those lip eye faces. He kept like squinting, and then if you looked at his lips and then his eyes, they look almost identical.
So after this first question, Anderson Cooper jumped in and asked Donald Trump about the videotape, saying that Trump was talking about sexual assault, and asked Trump if he understood that he had bragged about sexually assaulting women. Trump said, no, it was locker room talk. Then he started talking about ISIS all of a sudden. He said, we haven't seen carnage like ISIS ever before, and it's like medieval times. And then he'll knock the hell out of ISIS. And then I think Anderson Cooper maybe pressed him on it a little more, and he says, I have great respect for women. No one respects women more than I do.
That's very true. I mean, if you didn't respect a woman, would you grab her pussy just right off the bat? Think about it.
Meredith, again, as a woman, do you have any response to that? Donald Trump saying that nobody respects women more than he does?
I don't know, but he probably should have asked her out on a date first before he, you know. Oh, right, this is a podcast. So
that was asking her out for a date.
Cuts to the chase. Yeah.
Wasn't this while Melania was pregnant as well?
Well, that makes a lot of sense.
So, let's see. From there, lost track of my notes here. Oh, Hillary Clinton said prior Republican nominees she had disagreed with, but Trump isn't fit to serve. And she was saying it's not just the video. It's she said this actually a couple of times. She was trying to make it more than him just being sexist or misogynistic. She's saying he's also targeted blacks, Latinos, immigrants, Muslims, disabled, a disabled reporter. Later she brought in POWs. So it seemed like she really was trying to make everybody feel like Trump was against them, not just specifically women.
Yeah, well, it kind of makes sense because the Democrats are like, you know, the diversity party, right? So that automatically, as a Republican, excludes him from a lot of those minorities, let's say. But
Trump's response to that is he's going to help African Americans, Latinos in inner cities. He said that a couple times.
Women are a majority. What?
What's that? Oh, women are a majority?
Yeah.
But yeah, didn't you find Trump talking about African Americans and Latinos? Wasn't that kind of awkward? That happened a few times. I don't know. It seems sort of uncomfortable.
Well, it's sort of like the locker room talk thing. Like he just sort of like diverted. Like, I love Latinos. America's going to be great for Latinos and blacks, and the inner cities suck. Which, you know, it's kind of got a point there. But
I guess, I don't know. Just the way he said it, it seemed like he was kind of talking down to minority communities. But
well, I don't know. Locker talk can get pretty intense. I mean, I remember like a couple times in high school, we all kind of collectively tried to see which like was the worst way to kill ourselves. So we just mentioned different kinds of ways to off yourself, and you know, but that's just locker room talk. I'm pretty sure everyone's still alive from that conversation.
Okay. Right. And then Donald Trump actually said after that there's never been anyone in the history of politics as abusive to women as Bill Clinton, and tried to turn that back to him. He also said Bill Clinton lost his license to practice law. I didn't look that up. Do you guys know if that's true offhand or what the deal is?
Something to do with the impeachment. I don't know.
Oh,
the Paula Jones thing. I don't know. something about that.
Yeah, probably should have fact checked that.
Yeah, you should do your research.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, take a break and check it out.
Well, okay, if we take a break, I'll look that up.
Yeah.
And then the first ovation came when after Trump said Hillary should be ashamed of herself, and then the crowd really kind of all cheered right then, or most of the crowd, it seemed like, which shocked me. I didn't really think that because of the news over the weekend that there would have been a Trump crowd there. I figured it would have been like a Hillary crowd, and he would have been getting booed.
Well, she got some cheers too.
Yeah,
so I think they probably did like 50-50.
Think so,
because it was kind of like War of the Audiences there for a little while. Like there was every time they'd come back with something when they were both like frantically pacing around the stage. I thought they were like, it was like an MMA fight, before the fight they like just circle around looking at each other. And the crowd was really getting into it. That's when like Anderson Cooper like shushed him. Yeah, like, you're just slowing this down, whatever this is. It was these last two debates. Seriously, I've watched a few now for presidentials, but they're like the most retarded. Like.
What was?
The last two debates about, like the level of questions and then like the answers they got from both candidates, equally as just like, you didn't even ask that. You're just like, they'd deflect and then move to a talking point. Deflect.
Well, the very first question was like that.
Answers,
yeah, they both do it. They both do it. And then they start insulting each other personally.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be like Jerry Springer when the crowd was like cheering a lot. And they were both pacing around. I was expecting the ding, 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 ding that Jerry Springer does when they like want him to fight.
Start throwing the chairs at each other.
Yeah, and they had the chairs.
Yeah, and Hillary's response to that remark and to the Bill Clinton thing was saying that she was quoting Michelle Obama saying that when they go low, we go high. But then she just started attacking Trump. So it was kind of stupid. It's like...
Right. She was like, oh, I'm taking the high ground. Like, okay, what about the difference in public and private opinions you have about issues? And she was like, well, I said that about the movie Lincoln, and Russia is trying to fuck us over in our elections. We got to get rid. Like, it was just a deflection and then just go back into...
Yeah,
whatever sort of talking points you wanted to get to. And Trump was doing the exact fucking same thing. Like, it really is, like, pathetic that this is the presidential debate.
I agree. But if we can talk about the moderators for a minute, too. I was really disappointed with them. I know this is a recurring theme on these debate recaps where I kind of say how bad the moderators are, how bad the media is in general. But it's very aggravating when they interrupt and when they, I guess, fight a little bit. There was one part that we're going to get to later where Martha, what's her name? Raddatz, I think.
Sure.
She was like fighting with Trump over it. So I don't know. How did you guys think that the moderators did overall?
Well, I think a lot of times they were just trying to like ref rather than ask questions and stuff. And
Jack, I think previously you said that you actually liked Anderson Cooper as a moderator. There's some debate where you said you thought he did a good job.
Yeah, this time I don't think he did a very good job at all. Like, just ended up yelling at the crowd and then telling everyone that they need to move on. But how many questions did both moderators ask total? Like 15
well,
or 20?
The thing about this debate is it was like an audience-driven debate in theory, so they're just trying to plow through their questions as fast as they could.
And I kind of felt like it wasn't as much as it was supposed to be.
Itself that may have had a bit of a play because the town hall types of meetings for debates for the two candidates just seems a bit too intimate and just not enough room, and it's just.
I think that these previous kinds of debates, though, with like Bush and Kerry or Bush and Gore, it seemed like there was a lot more audience engagement. This one, it was only, I don't know, how many people was it? Like 3, 4?
I'd say probably 8 total.
I don't think it was that many.
Yeah, there was like the TVMA lady, the guy in the goofy red sweater.
I loved him.
Another older black dude.
Did you see him taking pictures of the debate afterwards with a disposable camera?
No.
The guy in the red sweater walking around with a disposable camera.
I didn't note that.
This was great.
Hopefully the pictures come out.
I'd like to hear each candidate's thoughts on cable nits. Thank you.
He actually went on the news the next day, I believe, to be like, well, I had to use that sweater because I had this really nice suit, this olive suit, but I had gained 30 pounds. So when I went in the car to go to the debate, my pants split, so I had to go get the red sweater and change my clothes. He was very candid about that. I thought that was great.
Yeah, he did become a media superstar overnight, it seems like. He was getting interviewed on CNN, I think, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think that's where he commented on the...
But back to the moderators, Meredith, how do you think that these moderators did overall? I mean, just regardless of, I guess, the format, do you think that the two of them did a good job or not really?
I don't know. I find it very hard to say. Usually with moderators, I feel like they shouldn't be saying as much. And then does anyone remember what the moderator's name was for the Nixon-Kennedy debate?
No way.
No?
I don't know that.
Was there a monitor?
Yeah, I'm sure there was.
Moderator. Sorry.
I guess we could Google that. Patrick, or how did you think that they did?
I don't know. They're fine. It's kind of, either you can't really do much with what you're getting,
Right. That's the thing. They didn't even get a chance to ask questions or steer the debate because they were too busy telling everyone they were over time. Because both of them were just going a minute over their allotted time every time.
Well, the last thing was, I think, more open-ended. The last debate was more open-ended, where there didn't seem to be a lot of questions last time. This one seemed more questions, and they were trying to stay closer to the time, I think.
Did you find them to be confrontational at all?
I don't know. I guess when they're trying to move things along.
When they were badgering kind of too.
Yeah.
Really pressing people and, fact checking and stuff on both sides, but probably more so on Trump. But then again, he's more outrageous. So.
By the way, Meredith, the moderator for the Nixon-Kennedy debate was CBS's Howard K. Smith. So everybody remembers Howard Smith, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How could I forget old Howie Smith? But I like that part when Trump was bitching, though. He was such a little kid. It's oh, yeah, this is great, 3 against 1.
I mean, I don't know. It seemed like you can make the argument either that he was picking a fight with them or that they were being unfair, depending on...
when one, I don't know, whatever you want to say about Hillary Clinton, more of the stuff that comes out of her mouth are I don't know. It's more plausible than some things Trump says.
Yeah, plausible deniability.
Even if she's just bullshitting the reporters, at least it's okay, that's a kind of an answer.
Yeah, it's cogent.
It's an answer to the question.
Right.
Whereas sometimes Trump just
he just makes shit up.
Yeah.
So another thing that happened, Trump brought up Bernie Sanders. He name dropped Bernie Sanders repeatedly throughout the debate. The first time he did it, he also talked about Debbie Wasserman Schultz and superdelegates. And I don't know if he's making a play for the millennial vote or what was going on there, or just trying to show the corruption in the Democratic Party, I suppose.
Well, yeah, because, a lot of burners and stuff don't like Hillary Clinton really at all.
Yeah.
So in his mind, they're sort of a potential stockpile of votes.
Well, in his mind, so are the blacks. And
Connecticut. He's been running commercials in Connecticut, too. I think...
Really?
West of the river, they might actually listen to him because they have low taxes.
It's solid Democrat, you'd think, but it's hard to say. There's a lot of angry white guys in Connecticut, that's for sure. Fucking taxes are going up, and their jobs are going down.
Well, I'd say
Does anybody remember the man while Obama was, I think, in his first term, the man that was standing outside of the post office in Colchester selling T-shirts with Obama with a Hitler mustache on it, and he was just
I remember that.
I don't think they were selling T-shirts.
No, he had a sign, definitely.
It was,
I don't know.
It was the
stuff on top
I talked to these people. It was the Lyndon LaRouche people.
Oh, okay. Lyndon LaRouche makes sense.
But it seems like outside the cities, Connecticut is largely Republican. That's my impression.
Well, not really.
London County tends to. I mean, always voted Joe Courtney every time, and they seem to stick with blue. But that's also because
Rob Simmons was
yeah.
their representative before Joe Courtney.
In EB, there's a lot of blue collar jobs, around.
Mm-hmm. Joe Courtney's probably forever safe because they saved the base that one time.
Right, that'll do it. That's why Rob Simmons was in too, because he's like, I'll protect our military, but he meant the base.
Yep.
Which they're never going to shut down anyways, because if they had to...
Well, they were trying to shut it down for a while. And then,
but the reality of the situation is that if they had to do the environmental remediation that would be required to shut down a subbase like that, it would be prohibitively expensive. It's cheaper for them to just keep the fucking thing open.
I think that it's impossible for a Republican to win a presidential campaign in Connecticut because they haven't won one since George H.W. Bush. It's just, I don't know, every 4 years.
Yeah, but that's not that long ago. Was that 30 years ago?
Almost. Yeah, a whole lifetime.
But
so
California was a reliable Republican state at the time as well, and you wouldn't say, "Oh, California is going back to Republicans anytime soon."
No, well, but it's different demographics now. It's like a lot more Hispanic voters for one.
And I think when there's higher turnout as well, that's when Democrats tend to win.
It's because you get the city voters. That's how the Republicans win. The governorship of Connecticut is because
Josh. When Josh was on here last time, remember he brought up Scott Brown, the Massachusetts Republican,
Mitt Romney,
because that was like a special election, right? Or it's not a presidential election. So
no, he was replacing John Kerry, who had been named Secretary
I think
of State.
He was replacing Ted Kennedy. I think it's after Ted Kennedy died. I believe.
I don't know. They had to replace Kerry at some point too.
Yeah, I think that was like 2 years later or 3 years later, whatever. But anyway, I don't see in a presidential election any of these blue states magically turning Republican. In fact, I wish we had Josh on the show again, because when he was on here, he was talking about 538, and according to 538, which is it's like a polling website, and they have projections for the election, and they've been accurate the whole time. They predicted Trump was going to win the nomination. They predicted that Clinton was going to narrowly win the nomination. Their odds right now for the election is Hillary has an 84% chance of winning, and Trump has a 16% chance of winning. They're saying that she's going to win Florida, North Carolina, Virginia, Ohio.
Well, he pulled out all of his ads for those states.
Really?
All of his
he needs to win those states.
All the money.
He needs to win all of those states to win the election.
Out.
So I don't know.
Maybe he doesn't want to win. Maybe he's hoping he can.
Well, he debuted a new commercial today. Did you see that?
Buddies with the Clintons too for years.
Did you see his new commercial?
Yeah, didn't they go golfing together, or like right before he decided
it's
to run?
Voiceover of Hillary Clinton, or over Hillary Clinton feigning at that 9/11 thing. That's his new commercial. Yeah.
What does he say?
I don't know. It's not him speaking. It's just some guy with a southern accent talking about like how we need a strong leader fit to serve.
Nice. One who doesn't sit down during debates. Like some kind of pussy that you'd want to grab.
So getting back to after Trump brought up Sanders and all this, that's when he started bringing up the emails. That was his big line then when he said he was going to hire a special prosecutor. I think that's probably around when you texted me saying how out of control the debate was.
Yeah, I was laughing my ass off.
And then actually another time the crowd seemed to be on Trump's side after Trump dropped this line and was kind of going off on a tangent about the emails. Hillary said that everything that Trump was saying was a lie, and the crowd actually booed her at that point. So I thought that was a little interesting.
Well, he was getting some good laughs later in the debate too. I forget what the hell he was saying, but he got like two good laughs from the crowd. I'm like, man, his fucking routine is great. We just got to let him go. That's what I've been saying. Like this whole shooting towards the center is wrong idea for Trump. He's got to just be as Trump as he can be, and he'll charm everyone into submission.
And right after that too is the line
nationwide pussy grab.
She was saying that Hillary was saying that it's good that he's not in charge of the law, and he said because you'd be in jail. And I think actually that was the big line from the debate. That's what
It's pretty bold of her to say.
Why do you say that?
Well, just in
Well, it was just like it was an offhand insult. It was she was kind of getting rattled, I think.
Yeah, he got her to slip up. He finally got under her fucking impenetrable hide.
Well, promising to prosecute someone and put them in jail will probably do that.
Probably.
Well, especially her. She'll start sweating again.
If he was elected, that would never happen, though. First of all, Obama could probably just pardon her if he really wanted to, preemptively. Don't you think?
Preemptive pardon.
Listen, you're probably going to jail. Don't worry about it. It's like one of those cards in that game.
Can a president unpardon somebody that a previous president pardoned?
No. So.
Once it's one and done. If they let you out, then you can never go back for the same thing.
Could a president?
Really if
could a president
had tried to depardon Nixon or something like that?
Well, could a president prosecute a president for pardoning a president?
No, it's part of their executive powers, I would think.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got the final, what is that called? Commuting power? Yeah, they have final commuting power. In the country.
For federal crimes, not for state crimes.
Right.
The governor has to do that.
Yeah.
And it was around here, too, that Trump started fighting more with the moderators. He asked Anderson Cooper why he wasn't bringing up the emails.
Right after he asked the question.
And they said, nice, 1 on 3.
But he said that right after Anderson Cooper had asked a question about the emails. Did you?
I think he was trying to change the subject, or I think he was asking a different question, or
no, but
yeah, because I think it was because the moderators were kind of pestering Trump about things, well, you understand sexual assault. You understand sexual assault. How many times did Anderson Cooper say that to him? And then the email thing, they kind of just gave Hillary a pass. She was sort of cornered. That's when she started blabbing about Russia. And then they just moved on without pestering her, I think that's why Trump was miffed.
Well, I think just her giving a poor answer is enough damage is done from that. I mean, she looks shitty answering that. She hasn't learned how to answer that question yet during this whole campaign. That's been her one weakness.
And just her laughing at him when he was just going off the wall a few times. Just looked at the audience and laughed. It was sort of like a why aren't I up 50 points kind of thing.
Yeah,
you fucking
smug,
really gonna believe this fucking idiot? Sure, that's a valid point, but why you can't? That's part of
that's part of her debate too. She was very. She
just
herself
what a
very.
I don't think that's a natural
as if she
reaction.
Had it in the bag already.
I think that's a contrived appearance just to she doesn't want to lose her cool, so it's easier just to have a smile on her face.
But it's so I don't know unsettling.
I don't know if you call that a smile. It's more of a
it's this face she makes instead of the hate and rage inside of her. Like Trump said, he's got a lot of hate in her. Fucking true, man. I like his compliment too. She never gives up.
Well, that was a much better compliment than she gave him.
I thought so too. I thought that she didn't compliment him.
I thought that was a compliment that the Clinton campaign could put in an advertisement.
Yeah,
that was such a good compliment. Don't you want a
maybe
president?
They will.
Don't you want a president who doesn't stop fighting? That's
despite how many strokes she's had.
So there's actually a little lull here where they talked about policy for a bit when somebody asked about Obamacare. And Hillary Clinton was talking about reining in costs, but keep Obamacare because help people get insurance. And everyone now is not denied for pre-existing conditions. She brought up some other things as well everybody benefits from. Trump said it's a disaster. No one's ever seen numbers like this. He wants to repeal and replace Obamacare.
Just anywhere. I don't understand that number. Probably, I guess, prices? I don't know.
Yeah, it's costs, I think, is what he was referring to.
He did bring up a point about the lines between states. He said he would get rid of those because they create monopolies. So he wants to, I guess, have just one market where everybody buys insurance from.
He wants to...
And then he attacked Canadian insurance. So, again, this was just a totally policy thing. I don't know if any of you guys had any thoughts on it. Any Obamacare thoughts?
Well, I don't know. I guess I think what Trump said was fair, but he doesn't propose. Those things he said. That's not
repeal and replace.
Yeah, replacing with what? He just wants to, destroy.
Trump care.
He said on 60 Minutes, single payer. It's like, we got to have it.
Well, he said that at the beginning of the campaign, and then
didn't he criticize her for that?
Yeah, he attacked her for. He's like, she wants to move us to a single.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Well, and he was making fun of Canada too.
Yeah, exactly. So
I actually have a single payer plan. I've had it since the Obamacare came into effect, except it's the one for the state, like Husky D.
Yeah.
I've had insurance for the past 2 years, and I've been able to get prescriptions for free, doctor's appointments for free, and it's really helped. And I think different states have had a very good luck with this. But there's other ones where the governors won't even apply Obamacare to their state, and there's people in extremely poor areas suffering and not being able to get the medication that they need for serious conditions. So something I think has to be tweaked.
It depends where you fall on the spectrum, right? I mean, if you're getting free health insurance, then who's going to complain about that? But I remember, I don't know if it was before or after it was enacted, but I remember there were people who were working part-time and they were making, I forget what it was. It's like if you're making under $1,000 a month, you couldn't, or I'm sorry, what was it? It was like if you're making over $600 a month, that's what it was. If you're making over $600 a month, you couldn't get Husky D, but you could get some other insurance that would be effectively Husky D, but you'd have to pay like $700 a month, which is more than you're making. So...
Well, then they probably apply some sort of tax credit for that.
Wasn't Chris Michelson complaining about Obamacare for some reason? Because
because it's like an extra however many hundreds of dollars it was a month, like $700 a month or something crazy like that. And it was really high deductible. So like the only thing it would help for is actually Trump mentioned this in the debate, I think. If you got hit by a bus or something, you'd be all right. But like if you need to, you get a broken foot or something stupid like that, you need new braces, then you're still going to just take that right out of your deductible.
Sick care, not health care.
So after that, a Muslim member of the audience asked about Islamophobia and how Trump and Hillary would protect her from Islamophobia. And Trump actually said Islamophobia is on the rise, which I thought was kind of interesting. But then he said Muslims need to report what they're seeing. And
I like how he asks a whole race, a whole religious group to take responsibility for
three guys.
There are people after that on Twitter kind of making fun of that statement. I saw one where this guy, his tweet was, Gremlins 2 is a rare sequel that deconstructs the whole franchise. # what Muslims are seeing. But yeah, then Donald was pressing Hillary on, and I guess Obama too, on saying radical Islamic terrorism. He wanted her to say that. And she retorted with Captain Khan and saying that Muslims have always been in the U.S. since George Washington. She brought up Muhammad Ali, and she said that Trump's rhetoric is a gift to ISIS and that she uses the term radical jihadist terror. Trump then said that Captain Khan was a hero and he would be alive today if he was president back then because he wouldn't have gone to war with Iraq.
That was a good burn.
Yeah, I guess so.
He'd be busy on the Access Hollywood bus chatting it up about what he was going to grab next,
Except it would be Air Force One, the classiest pussy-grabbing venue that's mobile.
Hillary Clinton then talked about refugees. She talked about the kid who was in that picture after he was bombed by, quote, Syrian and Russian air forces.
The kid in the ambulance?
Then
Yeah, she's so fucking cynical. But she like Captain Khan too. She kept bringing up.
But it was at this point where she turned the Islamophobia question into something against Russia, and she said again like she was against Russian aggression. So I just thought that was interesting.
Why not? Why not?
It's 1986.
And the implication is
she wants to reiterate how close Trump is to Putin.
Right. It's like to contrast herself from that Russia-loving Trump.
Who
doesn't want to go to nuclear war like some kind of fucking pussy.
Ivanka Trump is best friends with Vladimir Putin's girlfriend. I don't know if you knew that.
So is Chelsea Clinton friends too? Are they all friends?
I don't know.
Probably.
Maybe.
Oh, you're
Maybe it's a whole
billionaire oligarch too? Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So then they got an online question. Jack, you brought this up previously. The question is, the lead-in for it was talking about WikiLeaks, and the online question was, is it okay for a politician to be two-faced? And Hillary Clinton was saying that what was leaked regarding her saying something along those lines was after she saw the Abraham Lincoln movie, and that it was brilliant.
It was his advice.
Well, I mean, it was. She references the Abraham Lincoln.
She did explain it pretty well, but it's Hillary Clinton, so I don't know if it's true or if it's a story that I can say it's about Hillary. I can say it's about this Abraham Lincoln movie.
What's in that speech isn't what people say. Oh, she is. She has other ambitions other than what she says. In her speech, she was talking about more like negotiation like style. I thought, like it wasn't like
she was talking about the Emancipation Proclamation and that Abraham Lincoln made different arguments to different groups in Congress to get them to support it.
Yeah, and I don't know.
Well, is that an Abraham Lincoln quote though?
She
was explaining what she
in the movie. That's
how
they portrayed what he had done.
Right, but that explanation doesn't seem to jibe with the quote.
Okay.
What do you mean the quote from the thing? That's what the speech was talking about, though. Like
The Thing is a great movie, by the way.
Yeah.
So throw that out there.
I prefer The Thing too, but it's.
I didn't even say The Thing too.
So how did we start talking about The Thing? I was talking about she said different. You explain a policy differently to different groups of people. That sounds fine and good, but I don't know what that has to do with having two opinions, one in public and one in private.
Again, the lead-in was about WikiLeaks and about something that had come out in regards to her saying something along those lines. That I guess she speaks to voters differently than in closed.
Or I mean, in a speech, rather, speech.
Right, it's the Wall Street speeches, right? That she
but it was like to some college or something, right?
She was talking in reference to legislation, I thought, though. And like passing legislation, I don't know.
Hard to say.
It's been a few days.
So Hillary's response after that was saying that Russia is influencing the election and that we can't trust the leaks because, and I actually heard this on the Sunday morning news shows earlier that day, because Russia can now, because there has been leaks, they can create fake leaks or skew these leaks in different ways artificially, and you don't know what to trust because some is real, some's not. How do you know?
I mean, that could be true.
And you read 33,000 emails or whatever, and or however many they leaked. It's like hundreds of thousands, right, or tens of thousands.
That's a good way to kind of delegitimize everything. Like, well, maybe the Russians are just making it all up. Or maybe it's all true.
But just her like explaining it kind of says, "Oh, that was real."
In the bizarre innuendo, but I mean the was it like I think the CIA or somebody in the intelligence world did release a statement saying we think it was Russia, but they don't like provide any evidence of that. They just say that Russia has done this before.
In the John Podesta emails that were leaked, there are emails from the former guitar player from Blink-182
really
requesting him to speak to some contacts he has come to know who have firsthand knowledge of the UFO encounters of the United States government.
Sweet.
It's pretty funny.
Because John Podesta's really into UFOs, I guess.
Hey man, aliens exist. It's a Blink-182 song. So
wow. It's a deep cut.
Enema of the State, actually, said Trump should release tax returns to show entanglements with Putin and foreign powers. She's pushing on that.
It's crazy.
Trump said, the difference is Honest Abe never lied. That's the difference between you and Abraham Lincoln. Big difference.
And he's a Republican.
It's a really tall man, too.
That's right.
Trump says he doesn't know Putin. He thinks that we should work with Russia against ISIS. He says he has no relationship with Russia. The proof is that he's working on rebuilding the post office in Washington, D.C., so that if he was working with Russia, the government would already know that and wouldn't let him do that.
Yeah, they've been in his book so hard for that deal.
And then he brought up Warren Buffett and George Soros. It was great hearing George Soros brought up in this debate.
Yeah, with the finger pointing accompanying it, it's pretty good.
And he said other people like that receive massive deductions. And he would say Trump said he would release his returns after the audit. And then that actually immediately led into a question from the audience: what tax provisions would ensure that the wealthy pay their fair share? And I'm sorry to ask this. I don't mean to cause a controversy, but I'm really wondering, what is the wealthy's fair share? What does that mean? Does anybody?
Well, I think they should at least pay a proportional rate to, like, a working guy.
Okay.
That's just my opinion. I don't know.
And honestly, they have more than their fair share. That's why, tax loopholes, and more importantly, like legislative loopholes or legislation that benefits whatever sort of fucking racket or monopoly they're trying to impose. Like, I think about like oil companies and defense contractors and all those companies. Like, how fat are they getting off of government largesse?
Yeah.
So what they need to is to have less of their. They have way more than their fair share right now. But rather than
what if they
tax and punitive,
so they should
just take away their advantage, and they'll die out.
Well,
but a roundabout way would, I guess, be to tax them for what they are getting, right? To give it to them and then take it away.
Well, why cut out the middleman? Just fucking don't give it to them.
It's like a tricky situation with these big corporations because if you take GE in Connecticut, they try to take away some of their tax, some of their
loopholes.
And then they move. They just move. It's like,
yeah,
okay,
so
well,
fuck you.
Go to another
Exactly,
state that will give us those tax loopholes.
But if we lived in a way where we didn't need their fucking PCB contaminating bullshit, then we'd be all set.
Well, that's what's kind of dumb about Trump's position too, is this whole protectionist mindset. Like, if he's gonna be protectionist and these companies are gonna get hurt, wouldn't they just move overseas?
Yeah, and like,
wouldn't he know that? He's a businessman. Like, how does he not know that?
Well, because then you send like the thing that his wager, I think, is that since we're the consumers of the world, that if we had like import tariffs that were so crushingly high that they would still be cheaper for them to stay here, then they'd stay.
I suppose.
Well, I think it's important not to try to assign logic to anything he proposes. And I don't mean that as a joke. I mean that as he tells, people who work in manufacturing jobs what they want to hear, and he'll tell like business leaders what they want to hear behind closed doors. And, Clinton's probably not any different, but Trump just... I
don't know. Because like there was that one speech kind of early on in the primaries where he was talking about how bad our like airports and highways were. It's like, you ever been to Qatar or Qatar or whatever? He like mispronounced the name. Yeah, Qatar or something, he said, like Qatar. And he was like, their airports are beautiful, their buildings are beautiful, their roads are beautiful. He wants like America to look like it did in 1964 or whatever, when everything was like brand new and shiny. But the thing that sucks about that is that the fucking Connecticut River was like an open sewer. The Cuyahoga River would catch fire, and
well, I think like a lot of these,
it's not a good time.
These manufacturing jobs won't come back no matter what, just because the world's changed.
Right. I mean, what's large consumer items are more and more just electronics and stuff, and we don't even have the ability for that. Silicon Valley, sure. Texas Instruments, all right. But most of the other stuff just survives on defense contracts. So like Raytheon, Honeywell, those companies wouldn't fucking exist. UT wouldn't exist.
Big tunny hams.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they haven't touched on maintaining our infrastructure more, creating construction jobs in that respect. And, because we need to repair our bridges and our buildings instead of building something new or...
We need to just fucking let them fall and get rid of them.
I feel like that's what Obama ran on, though. That was part of like what was going to get the economy to recover.
Yeah, when he first got around then, I don't know if it's after he got elected or I think it was right after the collapse, maybe a year later. I forget. It's fuzzy. But I remember driving from Middletown up to Mount. What's that mountain that we hiked?
BSEC?
I forget. There's some mountain up in New Hampshire. And
Monadnock.
the
Washington?
entire fucking way, every road we were on was under construction.
I think it was-
including the road up the mountain was under construction.
I think it was part of the stimulus package,
Yeah.
like all these projects, and like they probably.
Cash for clunkers, remember that?
I mean that passed. They did that work, but roads are always getting fucked up every winter.
Yeah.
So it's an ongoing thing.
And honestly, it does suck when they don't repair them. Having lived in northern Indiana for 2 years, the roads in South Bend, Indiana are shit. It's just fucking
But
it's like a war zone.
That's like a state thing, though.
Yeah, that's
isn't
true.
it?
Yep.
But I'm just saying, I don't know what the stimulus, if it had like money for states, special money or something.
Well, you know what pissed
If
me
you
off
head
about
over
that
to
was the
Rhode Island,
local
the
libraries
roads are
charged me money for
horrible.
renting things. I said, why don't they take
Yeah,
this
I've heard
money
that before. Rhode Island roads really suck.
In Indiana, they
Potholes
charge you money
everywhere.
for renting things?
from the library? That pissed me off. Why don't
Like
you take
books and stuff?
Yeah. I took
Even
shit
if
out
they're
of-
not overdue?
Yes.
That's weird.
That is fucking weird.
Like, well,
What you
can you
reading
take
for?
this money and fix the roads, maybe at the very least?
Well, the
Keeping the lights on here.
The Notre Dame library must have been free.
Well, define free.
Well, I mean, like,
My fucking
yeah,
That's one expensive library card.
I'm sure they had better books and DVDs, didn't they?
They must.
yeah. Actually, I got some. Found this DVD of like really cool Russian propaganda cartoons. That was probably one of the coolest videos I ever saw.
Yeah, I used to go into the Central Library and try to find the oldest book I could find. So I'd find like books from
The central one, dude. Those were ancient. They were like
I'd
hundreds
find,
of years old.
I'd find books from like the 1870s.
Nice.
And they had bound editions of magazines too, like Punch, like a magazine from like Britain in the 1800s. They had bound editions of that.
Were
Yeah.
they protected at all with like any kind of the glass or anything?
No,
No, they're just
you
like in the stacks,
you could
right?
you could check them out.
they're probably still there. We could probably go there right now and
Yeah.
look at them.
Although they did have there's some sort of water thing like ruined half the fucking library.
It's a large building though. It's like a
Yeah, but like half like a water main broke or a sprinkler system failed or something and
that
just like
sucks.
ruined
It's a
it.
shame.
So it was at this point in the debate that Martha brought up the Syrian boy again, and she brought up Aleppo. And
what's Aleppo?
What is Aleppo?
Did you see that thing where he was talking with his tongue? Gary Johnson.
Yeah,
that was a weird.
I could do anything. I could talk like I feel.
Did you see that? You didn't see that, Steve?
No, I saw it. I'm embarrassed by Gary Johnson.
He's losing his marbles.
So you're not voting for Gary Johnson?
I'm going to look into the Constitution Party candidate. I hear he's pretty cool. Actually, let's bring him up for a second before we get to this. Because I seriously am thinking about it. He's like considered a right-wing type party. But I think...
Yeah. They actually, it's funny though. They did have a bunch of free DVDs in Cucaramacra, which is one of my favorite Mexican restaurants in the world.
Cucamonga.
But have you ever been to Mexico?
Have I ever been to Mexico? No.
Should probably go there first before you make that judgment.
Well, of the Mexican restaurants he's experienced, I think is what he's saying.
Yeah.
Like you can't you can't you
Possibly
can't factor
know
in,
what every Mexican
yeah,
restaurant.
you can't factor in hypothetical Mexican
I'm sorry.
restaurants.
In Hartford.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, Jack. What were you going to say?
That they had CDs and like pamphlets and newsletters in the restaurant. Like they had like dropped off.
It's weird.
So I took one of the DVDs and it was just like, it's in someone's basement filming, talking to
Was
like.
it the president of Afghanistan?
No, it was like the Connecticut Constitutionalist Party or something like that. Or like.
Was it Joe Zadoniak?
Yes. Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
I knew him.
Joe Zardong.
I facilitated a
pretty good, but crazy.
third-party gubernatorial debate at UConn in 2006 between him and Cliff Thornton, who was the Green Party candidate, because they were not allowed to debate Jody Rell and DeStefano.
Yeah, they're like sovereign citizens, kind of.
Well, so according to Wikipedia.
Which is cool, but, the militia, you just instantly get labeled a right-wing terrorist if you're interested in that.
Daryl Castle, he's the Constitution Party candidate. Here, according to Wikipedia, what is this about him? In an interview with Liberty Hangout, Castle has said he is more libertarian than 2016 Libertarian presidential nominee Gary Johnson. He describes himself as pro-life and opposes federal funding for Planned Parenthood. Castle supports funding of space exploration. He opposes the war on drugs. When it comes to prostitution, gambling, smoking, polygamous relationships, and other activities made by consenting adults, Castle says he sees no role for the federal government to get involved. He wants decriminalization of cannabis use, Meredith, however, opposes full legalization. He favors securing borders and believes Muslims...
that just happened, actually. Sorry to interrupt.
What?
But in the spending bill that they just passed, there was a provision that said that there will be no more funding in any of the states regarding like marijuana law enforcement. So like
there's still a DEA.
Right, but if they want to decriminalize marijuana in their state or whatever, they're like allowed to now.
Okay, so Daryl Castle, I just want to finish this. He favors securing the borders and believes Muslims should be banned until screening for foreign terrorists has been sophisticated. So there's the
So why not just stick with Trump?
He has described his foreign policy views as non-interventionist. He favors the United States withdrawing from the United Nations, NATO, TPP, NAFTA, CAFTA, GATT, and WTO. He favors ending the Federal Reserve.
It just sounds like Super Trump. Like Trump's touched on all those issues.
Trump. That's funny.
My favorite Super Trump album is probably was that Breakfast in America? Or?
Breakfast in Manhattan.
Oh, yeah.
So the Martha Raddatz, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing her name. I don't watch ABC News. So she asked again about the Syrian boy Aleppo calls and the calls at the UN, I guess, to say that Russia and Syria have committed war crimes. And then there was an online question, supposedly, about Syria saying it looks a lot like the Holocaust. Hillary said that the Russian Air Force is determined to level Aleppo. Russia is not fighting ISIS, and that we...
so what are they doing? Blowing up the regime's citizens? It makes no sense. You know, why would they level a city that the Assad regime wants to retake?
Because they're rebels.
Didn't ISIS blow up a Russian airplane like a year ago?
I think.
In Egypt?
It was... No, on the border between Turkey and Syria, they shot down a...
No, there was a commercial. There was a commercial airliner from Egypt
I don't
to
know
Russia
if
with
anyone
Russian citizens.
claimed responsibility for that.
Yeah, they like blew it up over Sinai, right?
Yeah.
But I agree with that. Russia doesn't want to fight ISIS. They just want to prop up the Assad regime.
But in talking about...
Which is fighting ISIS.
But in talking about Syria,
really.
Hillary Clinton said...
Yeah, because ISIS is fighting the Assad regime.
No, there's separate rebel groups that are unrelated to ISIS.
But Patrick, Hillary Clinton said about Syria, what's at stake is the aggression of Russia. So from her worldview, it seems like this whole Syrian thing is about Russia, not about ISIS.
And it's game, set, match, too, because the fucking Turkey and Russia just signed a pipeline deal finally.
Yeah, they've been chummy lately. How did that happen? Because, like you said, Turkey shot down a Russian fighter jet, right?
Yeah.
So then they became friends after that? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, yeah, because, Turkey has some pretty ambitious operations going on in Syria right now, too.
Well,
quote, fighting Kurds,
Yeah, Turkey hates the Kurds. The Kurds are Assad's enemies.
Okay, gotcha. So they have... But Turkey doesn't like ISIS.
Or is he fighting them plus the...
This is why the Middle East is so confusing.
Turkey has ignored ISIS. They've been like, oh, whatever, just stay.
Yeah, they're
take
fighting
over some city on their border or something. I thought they were like right on the border.
Like in Kurdistan.
Well, there were like aerial photographs that purportedly showed Erdogan's, is that his name?
Erdogan?
Yeah, his like son, who is like the Secretary of Energy, like in like
Malta.
He was like by like in this ISIS like gas deal or something.
Yeah, he was buying oil from ISIS.
Yeah, essentially. So
yeah, they were doing that on the border there. So but Turkey's supposedly in NATO and supposedly our ally, and like wants to be in the euro and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But they were kind of after, I think, because Turkmen shot down that jet. It was Syrians who were backed. They're rebels who are backed by Turkey.
Okay.
They're like Turkish majority towns and villages on the border are rebelling to become like part of Turkey or whatever.
Okay. But it's still probably overseen by Turkey.
Yeah, right. So like when that happened, they were like, "Oh fuck!" Like we didn't mean to do that, you know? Because I mean, it's Russia, it's Turkey. Like,
yeah,
the days of the Ottomans are long gone. So they, I think, really Putin probably was kind of happy that happened because now he's got a really good reason to be fucking pissed off at him and can kind of like make some deals happen, you know?
And it seems like that's happening. They're meeting, right?
Because he's a master of the geopolitical chess game.
Well, back to
go from Yeltsin's Russia to what Russia is today, you know?
Yeah.
With the flood of Afghan heroin, the CIA is trying its fucking damnedest to like keep Russia from ascending through drugs. And they're doing it in the United States too.
So after Hillary said that about what's at stake is Russian aggression, Donald Trump's response was that Hillary doesn't know who the rebels are. Look at Libya after Gaddafi. He says he does not like Assad, but Russia, Syria, and Iran are killing ISIS. I thought it was funny. He actually threw Iran in the basket.
I thought that.
Well, it's true. They're Sunni.
Compliment for Iran. No, Iran played a big part in like fighting ISIS in Iraq. I mean, it's bad for us,
Shiite militias,
for our sphere of influence. But you know.
So after Trump said this Martha moderator, she interrupted Trump. She reminded him of Pence's position, and Trump says that he hasn't talked to Pence about it, and he disagrees with that. And that was another kind of news headline, is that Trump and Pence apparently disagree on this foreign policy.
There's an
issue.
expectation that two people running together would have some forethought to make sure they knew each other's beliefs, but that's just not here.
McCain, Palin.
That's
well, he picked him strategically. He picked him to like get the Ted Cruz voters. No,
I understand.
And he's a beautiful man. But he looks like Grace Bannon.
Trump doesn't have like solidified political views, so it's not like he's gonna think anything's a deal breaker.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, he does seem pretty malleable. However, there are certain things where he seems consistent on the Middle East. That's one of the few areas where he seems to have not really shifted that much.
I don't know. It seems like early in the primaries he was more of an isolationist. It seems now he's more, he talks about bombing the hell out of ISIS. What does that mean? It seems like we're already bombing ISIS more than we can, produce the weapons to do it. They were like running out of missiles for a while. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? The U.S. military?
They couldn't keep up with how much they were like.
That's a lot of bombs.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they're like Tomahawks too, so each one's like whatever, fucking $60 million probably. So you don't need to keep too many in inventory.
But yeah, she entered then. So it was like a back and forth thing. Trump said that he disagrees with Pence, and then he started talking about why do we announce before we attack cities? That was like some stupid talking point he had. But she started fighting with him. The moderator saying there are reasons. It might be to get civilians out. It might be psychological warfare. Like she started arguing with him like she was in the debate almost, which seemed odd.
That was a little odd moment. I would say to Trump that we live in an open society, and so we have like information. We don't live in Putin's Russia, so I mean, we have a free press and
I understand that, but in a presidential debate, I mean, the moderator shouldn't be arguing with.
No, I understand that. I thought that was an odd moment. But
that's the free press.
You're saying why would we announce?
Yeah, okay. I'd say we live.
No, I think it's a dumb. I totally agree with you. I think it's
talking
stupid.
point a stupid person in a bar would make.
I agree.
It's like, hey, why are we telling them we're coming? We should just go there.
Yeah, I gotta check a lot of that too. Like, because that's the plan that's gonna get him is like sneak attack. That's gonna be the one. They're like, fuck, we never even thought of that. We were watching CNN. They didn't tell us shit.
Well, that was the last note that I made on the debate. I know that there was some other stuff with Kenneth Bone and then that whole compliment thing. Did you guys have anything else that you wanted to add to your analysis of the debate, Jack?
Not really. I mean, just to wrap up is fucking batshit crazy, way crazier than the first one. I think Trump just they just let him loose, kind of.
Well, in the newspaper article I read the morning of the debate, it said, expect Trump to act like a wounded animal. And,
that's about right.
Yeah.
fucking teeth bared, pursing his lips and his lip eyes.
I thought it was
I
thought it was about a draw, though. I don't think either candidate
I thought Trump had his moments in there. Honestly, dude.
Do you think he won?
Yeah, because he finally found the chink.
If one
in
of them
Hillary's
won,
armor.
it was her.
I felt
or
like
him. Sorry.
I don't think anyone changed anyone's mind in that debate. I felt like it was a draw.
Yeah, ultimately,
pretty much kept the
people
voters
just dug
that
in.
already wanted to vote for him.
Like, who's going to listen to Trump, like anything Trump said, and say, "Oh, that's
Either of them, really. That's
no, that's true."
I thought it wasn't like that's why I said when I thought it wasn't like topic based because it didn't seem that way. It seemed more like, well, you're a fucking liar. Oh yeah, well you're a misogynist. Oh yeah, well you love Putin. Oh yeah, well you fucking want to destroy America or whatever. It was just I don't know. It didn't even seem like a debate. It just seemed like sort of like a Yo Mama competition.
What do you hope for, Meredith?
I hope that. Well, no, I don't hope for Hillary to pass on, but due to her inevitable lung cancer or pneumonia or whatever she's going to die from, I would look forward to a Tim Kaine presidency. He seems like
Did you watch the VP debate?
That was pretty cool.
He was feisty.
See those guys? Well, he the thing that people were like, oh, well, he was too aggressive, but you could tell he really was treating it like a really fun game.
Yeah, he
was having a fucking great time, and he was like, "Oh, we're just playing up here." He like said that. Remember that? And he was just like, "Yeah," and then he like really wanted to like say something.
Well, like Mike Pence
as
was
a
like,
spaz, I understand.
Mike Pence was like, real like, "Oh, I gave you your turn to talk," but it was like a free flowing debate. It was supposed to be, so they were supposed to be able to interject.
Well, Mike
like
Pence had a masterful sort of interruption. Anytime Tim Kaine said something he didn't agree with, he'd look around and just shake his head and look around. So like he didn't have to interrupt, but he was saying no.
Well, he approached
That's wrong.
Approached it with the dignity of a 1950s GI Joe action figure.
Yeah. Well, they're both senators, right?
Mike Pence was a representative.
No,
he was a
I thought
congressman.
He was a governor from.
He's a governor.
Indiana.
Okay.
Well, now he is, but he used to be a.
All right, so you got a governor versus a senator. These guys are like A+ debate club.
I would
guys,
say Tim Kaine's not the greatest public speaker, though.
I thought he did pretty good though.
I thought he was good in that
kept up
debate.
the attack and like Pence.
He was interrupting all the time though. Like
but he was
both
supposed. He was supposed to be. I thought that didn't bother me.
It seemed like Pence was poised to me.
Well, Pence is just more of like a smooth operator. It's, he's like fucking race band and like.
He's like it's just
he's subtly passed.
He's here for 2020, basically. Just biding his time.
Crime.
Nice.
Either like Trump loses and Pence is the heir apparent in 2020, or Trump's elected and he gets bored, so he doesn't run for re-election in 2020. So either way, like Pence is set up
without being impeached.
I released my own set of commemorative coins. They were a huge success. I'm retiring on the proceeds, moving to an island you've never heard of.
Meredith, do you have any like final thoughts on the election overall? I don't know if you're going to be back before election day, so anything that you just want to share about any of the candidates at all?
I think Hillary should wear longer coats.
I liked her outfit in this debate. It was a lot better than the first one, I thought.
It was in navy blue with a white shirt.
Arms a little bit more.
She's an old gal. I don't really hold it against her,
She's on a dolly. They don't even show.
Meredith, who are you voting for? If you want to share that. Do you want to share that? You're not sure? I'm not sure. I'm going to look at this Darrell Castle guy for a little bit.
I think I might write in Ken Bone. And
there you go. That's a good one.
He seems like he might do a good job.
All right. Well, we're almost out of time. I just briefly have to talk about baseball real quick. Patrick, we're recording this on Tuesday. Let's just assume that the Nats and the Cubs win tonight. Were you surprised? I know it's happening right now. But were you surprised that both the Rangers and the Red Sox got swept? I don't think that anybody could have predicted that.
Well, I guess the Red Sox peaked about a month too early, and they played like shit for the last week and a half of the season, so they didn't go into the playoffs with any momentum whatsoever.
They got shut out in one of those games, right? Game 2, they didn't score any runs at all.
Yeah, and the other games they scored 3 and 4 runs.
So Shane was so drunk. Was that last night they got eliminated? Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Well, as of right this second, the Dodgers are winning 5-2 against the Nationals. So
You're a big Dodgers fan, aren't you? I got a feeling about you. You're a Dodgers fan.
I like the Dodgers, but I like the Nationals too, so I don't care either way. I just, whichever one wins that, I hope they beat the Cubs. If the Cubs beat the Giants, which
they're gonna.
Probably, I guess.
They came close. Dude, it was a fucking like 13 inning game.
Yeah, they lost last night, though. They blew it.
I know, but it was 13 innings. They're right there with them the whole time.
Yeah, if the Cubs win in 2016, then that's mean. Just because of the Back to the Future thing where they won in 2015, it's like they could have just done it a year earlier.
Well, they tried.
I'm sure they tried.
They're like,
their
fuck
hardest.
that movie. We don't want to win. We're throwing this off here. Show those movie producers.
Well, I guess the Blue Jays Indians series will be interesting because
should be.
I don't know what to expect at all.
So, just right now, even though it's Tuesday at 7:13 p.m. and we don't know who the winner of that game is going to be, who do you think is going to win the World Series? Come on!
I don't know who's playing in the World Series. Shouldn't you know the matchup before you predict?
I think that the Cubs have had so much momentum all year. They've been the best team in baseball all year, basically.
I think the Cubs are the easiest and obvious pick. I mean, I could say, the Cubs, just because they're the best team, but who knows?
Previously I said it was going to be a sleeper team like the Orioles, and what happened there?
It still could be the Indians.
And that was fucking Showalter's fault, don't you think?
Well, yeah,
Jimenez
it's surprising. As soon as they brought Jimenez in, I said to myself, this game is over because he's not a good pitcher. So you bring him in when everything's on the line? That makes no sense. And it's ironic because Showalter is like probably the best in managing a bullpen in the big leagues.
he was holding out, right? I mean, that's what happened. That's what happened to the Cubs last night is they ran out of their bullpen. They used everybody.
Well, he wanted to bring a starter in the extra innings. Jimenez is a starter, so he wanted to have him go a lot of innings, but he left his closer in the bullpen. Can't leave your best pitcher in the bullpen.
All right, I'm saying it's going to be Cubs, Blue Jays, and Cubs are going to win. How about you?
I'll say the Nationals and the Indians. And
contrarian.
I don't know. The Indians winning and Andrew Miller being the MVP of the World Series.
Cubs Indians would be cool, right? Wasn't that the last time the Cubs went to the World Series was against the Indians? Or was it the Tigers?
I don't know. But the last time the Indians won the World Series was like in the 40s, I think, or maybe something like that.
I think that was 1945, right? Wasn't that the 45 series?
Maybe. I wasn't around back then.
Well, all right.
Those are the halcyon days of baseball. National pastime. Ken Burns taught me anything.
Football ratings are down like 10% this year, so baseball maybe it's going to make the national comeback pastime.
Nice.
45 was Tigers Cubs. Tigers beat the Cubs.
Okay.
By the way, I'm sorry. Just last thoughts here. The Giants and the Bills. The Patriots and the Bills game. Bills beat the Patriots. So congratulations, Jack.
Thanks. I had a lot to do with it. It's like winning the Super Bowl for a Bills fan.
Yeah, congratulations on that one game.
Hey, I'll take it.
It's
sweeter than 10 of your wins because they're boring to you. You've already had it. Many times. You're not like, oh, yes, finally beat those fucking Bills. It's just like, fucking Bills suck.
I didn't expect to win that game anyway because you got a third-string quarterback with a sprained thumb playing. I don't know.
Well, they fucking demolished the Texans.
Yeah, but he didn't have a sprained thumb at the time.
That's true.
Injured at the end of the game. But anyway, I don't care.
Whatever. Brady came back. We beat the Browns.
We beat. You Patriots fan, Steve?
I did a good job in that game.
All right, no, I just don't know. Are you a fan of anybody? It seems like every year you pick a team.
Only the Steelers, Saints, and Patriots. Is there any else?
No.
It's just those three. All right.
Just 10% of the NFL. All right, guys, we're out of time. Any final thoughts? Patrick, any final thoughts from you?
No.
Meredith?
I'm good.
Jack, any last things you want to share? In your 13th appearance on Primo Nutmeg?
All right, lucky number. No, I guess not.
All right, well, thank you, Jabronis, for joining me tonight. I appreciate it. I thought we had some good analysis of the debate. By the way, they were hyping the next debate, saying it's going to be the final presidential debate, and I agree with that. I think it will be the last presidential debate
right
ever. I hope we can analyze that in a few weeks. So thank you everybody for listening to this bullshit. Appreciate it. And please do stay tuned for future editions of Primo Nutmeg.